Did you hear what Pete did with the I'm a shitty person thing? Oh, it's so funny. Thank you, Pete.
I love him so much.
We love you.
Oh, yeah, we're recording this.
All right, let's do it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mandcave. It's the only podcast hosted by two best friends with nothing in common except their names. I'm Mandy Fabian.
And I'm Mandy Kaplan. And each week, we test the limits of our friendship by arguing over movies, books, the latest trends, and of course, Mandy's dumb ideas. Grab a couch and let's get to it.
There's two things I want to talk about right now. That there's a book that I don't know, I feel like you're probably going to shit on because I'm currently reading it and loving it. It's called The Midnight Library.
Oh, I hated it. Couldn't get through it. Yep.
You're fucking kidding me.
Nope. Hated it.
Oh, okay. Listeners, don't listen to her. I am recommending this book highly. It is so interesting. And as we all know, the universe is quantum. Nothing that's happening right now is the only thing that's happening. We have several different lives happening simultaneously. And this book tells you all about that. It is pure scientific fact. And don't listen to Mandy. Although it's
oh, sorry. I was playing Tetris. What?
Oh, I love it. I can't. I'm gobbling it up. It's one of my favorite books. It's a book I wish I'd written, which is funny because that means to me that the minute that I write a book, you're going to read it and hate it. Like I'm still going to expect you to read it, but you will hate it.
Of course I'll read it.
I know.
And I will, provide all of the appetizers for your book signing and I will promote the hell out of it, but I will hate it. Fully and completely.
I want to trust. I think friendship is about you lying to other people that you loved my book when in fact you hated it.
I know you think friendship is about lying, which will end in 4 days on your birthday. As we record this on November 16th, She is starting a year of truth.
Yep. On
her birthday. And I know you're writing a book, so it's going to get awkward up in here when I hate your book.
I know you're going to hate it, but you have to lie. It's not me. You have to lie and tell other people you loved it, even if you hated it. I'm
At
so
your book
proud
signing,
of her.
I will lie. On the podcast, I would never lie to the Mandys. I can't.
Oh, Jesus. All right. I got sidetracked. That's not really what I wanted to talk about. Have you seen Taylor Swift's music video?
No.
All Too Well. Holy shit,
No.
Mandy. Okay.
I love her so much.
Oh, you're about to fall deeper and more madly in love with her. Okay.
It feels impossible, but I'll try.
I said these words this morning with tears pooling in my eyes to Patrick Fabian, and you can imagine his response. I was like, honey, Taylor Swift is like our new Beatles. Now, he wasn't totally on board with that, even though he loves her as much as I do, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to take those kids, we might become Swifties. Like we might follow her and stand at the stage door with our family. We're going to do a year of just following Taylor Swift on tour.
I am not walking your dogs for a year. I want to make that very clear. I will do it for a week if you're out of town, but I will not do it for a year.
Obviously, we'll take the dogs in and we'll all live in a van in the parking lot of the stadium she's playing at. Like, it's going to get weird.
And then you're going to write a memoir.
Yeah.
And then Lifetime is going to make a movie, which I'll hate.
Oh my, see how it's full circle?
It is.
But her music video, it's a short film that she did so she has this song. First of all, she's re-released all her songs, Taylor's version.
Oh, I know.
Right, to get all the money, and they're better and more rich than they were when she released them, I don't know, 9 years ago, whatever. She did a short film and expanded this one song that is about her relationship with, and I didn't know this before this morning, Jake Gyllenhaal. I didn't know this. And it's heartbreaking and it's beautiful. And then at the end, like now my mind is blowing. She directed it. I had no idea.
Wow.
It's beautiful. It's so well done. I'm fucking pissed at her because now, like, not only did I not get to be Taylor Swift, the pop star, now she's also a better filmmaker than I am. So fuck her, really. But like, it's so good. It's so good.
There's a lot of resentment in your heart.
What?
And a lot of belief that you could have done all the things that you watch and listen to and write and read.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because
at the same time.
Well, with this book, The Midnight Library, the funny thing is there's a whole world where I could have done all those things, you see. But it's a great book.
You could slide into other people and times. Got it.
I think you should slide into other people and times. Who hasn't? But that was this lifetime. Anyway, you should check out that book. What are you up to?
I watched The Way Down, the documentary.
Oh, The whole thing?
Because I do what I'm told. It was only 3 episodes. I thought I was in for like an 8-episode journey.
Well, and then
it just ended.
Oh, really? Is it done in 3? I've only watched 2.
Yeah, it's done in 3.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you watched the whole thing.
No, I watched the 2 and then I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch the 3rd. But I have no attention span. So I'm going to finish it.
Yes, I do know this. Well, it was not as salacious as I wanted. And it was so sad because a little boy dies from being abused by his religious zealot parents.
Oh.
So it was not as make fun of this crazy lady as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But there was enough to make fun of, and her hair and makeup are spectacular. Her face is just melting. It's just all melting, and it's so interesting. And I did enjoy that she fell in love with like a weird 80s actor hunk guy.
Oh my God. Their relationship is just, I love it so much.
And all of like I think we all have friends on social media like this. Like everything is a staged photo. Everything is a too well lit. Everything feels like they're doing it not because they're in love and happy, but because they want other people to perceive them as in love and happy. And that's their entire relationship.
Okay, you're talking about me and Patrick. Just say it. Like, why do you, you don't have to be so passive aggressive about it. No, we don't post pictures together.
I thought I made that perfectly clear. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
You shallow lady.
I loved that part of it. Their relationship alone made me go like, oh God, I just want to be a fly on the wall in that house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about I didn't know about the little boy. That must be in episode 3 because I didn't know that part.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I think they tease it at the end of 2. I could be wrong. Sorry. But
no.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, God. Well, I know she was deposed for something in the beginning of the thing. I just didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Well, I won't say anymore because I feel like you need to finish it and get back to me.
I will.
And accept my superiority that I finished it before you, even though you recommended it weeks ago. Okay.
I feel like 2 episodes I accepted your superiority. So, now I'm free to just be the pretty one. Let's move on. And I would like to hear what your thoughts were. This week we watched Colin in Black and White on Netflix. Ava DuVernay Oh no, she produced it. She didn't direct it.
Correct.
Which I
Robert
thought
Townsend actually directed the second one, but
yes, I ended up watching 4 of them.
Me too.
Oh, interesting.
I think I watched 4. I know I watched 3.
Okay,
I was very mistaken about what it was. Yeah. And I'm embarrassed. On the pod last week, I was like, oh, I like documentaries. It is not a documentary whatsoever. It is a scripted, produced, limited series for Netflix.
Yeah.
Hosted by Colin Kaepernick himself.
Yes. And once again, I started watching it and I was like 30 seconds in and I was like, I once again picked something she's going to hate because it's a biopic, essentially, right?
It is very much, yes. It is like Young Rock, except or Young Sheldon, I mean, it really is a very typical format, except, okay, go with me on this. So Colin Kaepernick narrates it as if he's giving a TED Talk.
Uh-huh.
And then he will say something about, that's what happened to me when I was 14. And then he'll look over and they'll do a scene.
Yep.
A scripted, acted out sitcom scene. And there was all of this bizarre, like meta's the wrong word, surreal stuff where then he would like be in the scene and out of it. And he was in an art gallery watching the scene on a wall. And it totally reminded me of, and I hope you know the reference, on Family Ties, they did a very special episode where Alex's friend died. And Alex went to therapy about it, and it was done like a high school play where everything was dark. And then he walked into a room and Jennifer was there and she couldn't hear him. And then he walked out and went into the kitchen and his parents were there. And this reminded me of that. I thought it was very like high school. Wouldn't it be cool if the art on the wall came to life and became a scene and Colin Kaepernick was watching the scene and those aspects of it. Yeah. I found laughably bad. Yeah. Really bad.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. I was so frustrated by the whole thing. Funny that we watched 4 episodes. I was frustrated because I really felt like I wanted to know his story so much. I think his story is so interesting. And quite frankly, I just didn't need all the dramatics. I would have preferred a documentary with him speaking to some of because they spell out these, like he compares in the first episode, slavery to being selected for a football team, right? That the white man looks you over and makes sure you're physically fit and you don't have any defects. And they choose slaves in the same way that they choose football players. And I thought that was
2 minutes in, if I may interrupt. 2 minutes in, I was like, oh, this is going to be incredible. I wrote, wow, the slavery sequence was so riveting and well done. And then...
I disagree, right? Like,
no.
I was like, what is happening? What is this? And honestly, I was like, really? We're comparing slavery to football? I mean, you watch football. Like, if that's the case, you wouldn't watch football. If it's really that we are employing these men as slaves, if it's that similar, like I don't watch football because I don't like the violence, But so ethically, he's making that comparison. I'm like, doesn't that just make all football, anybody who likes football, like people who love slavery?
I think he's saying,
I know you love slavery.
Element of it. There's an element of football. There's an element of drafting young men by their physical attributes and work ethic. Right. I mean, or not work ethic, but
because
ability
it's a sport.
to perform.
Because it's a sport.
So there is an element of it. He was not saying football is akin to slavery.
Right.
How dare you, Ms. Fabian? Okay. Although I did notice, side note, we should have a little side note, sting music.
Yeah.
Or you could just be you saying, I'm a shitty person, whatever it is.
Oh, shit.
I've noticed that in fantasy football this season, none of the podcasts I listen to or the experts, you can't say, oh, I own Tom Brady as my quarterback. Now we say, I manage.
Oh.
I manage a football team.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that they've switched the lingo entirely, and I have a feeling it's the woke movement, but I didn't get the memo at all. Because we used to just say, oh, I own him. He's my running back.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. When you guys are sitting alone in your basements doing your little fantasy football, feeling like team owners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, back to the main story. It's interesting you didn't like that. I thought it was very powerful and well produced, and I was excited for the rest of the show. Yeah. And then I lost my excitement.
Yeah. I thought it looked cheap and weird. And also it was such a big swing right out of the gates. And maybe also, I am embarrassed to say this, but I don't think I'd ever seen Colin Kaepernick speak. So in the beginning, I was not clear that the narrator was him.
Oh, really? That
was weird. And I caught on very quickly, but I was like, so it was just kind of, that's because I just don't, I forget everything. But I realized in that moment, I was like, oh, I've heard of Colin Kaepernick's story as relayed to me, but I haven't actually seen him speak about it. So I loved the story that I heard, and I was a fan of his, and I was horrified at how he was being attacked, but that was all hearsay apparently. So that was interesting too. It was, but the thing is, I want to watch it because I still want to know what he was going through. I want to know his story.
Well, his story, not to spoil it for you, is that there's not a nice white person in the world, and everybody's racist everywhere he goes. And no one ever gave him a break or gave him credit for being a talented, intelligent person, apparently. It was so over the top.
Yeah. I was thinking,
and that's only 3 or 4 episodes in. Maybe he meets somebody who gives him a break.
Well, here's one thing that I drew from it that I thought was very interesting and probably true. And that is that his parents did not see how he was experiencing racism, right? Because they're like, it's fine, you're fine, they're not looking at you funny, but he saw people looking at him funny and treating him differently, which I would believe is true. And his parents did not, protect him or empathize with him or...
To a laughable degree.
Well, in this show, yes. And that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, so they made everybody such a horrible, outright, not subtle racist person. And I go, well, are they trying to get inside his experience of it, that it was not nuanced in any way? Or, I really was wondering why they made that choice.
Yeah.
Because it was...
His parents are played by Nick Offerman and Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah.
Who I like in this. Like, she's very un-Mary Louise Parker-like.
Yeah.
She's somebody who I very much think has a lot of talent, but falls back on her isms.
Yeah.
And I don't think she does it in this.
Yeah.
But how would you feel if you were one of his parents watching this portrayal?
Well,
of two white people who are like, oh, it's not a big deal, honey. Oh, no, they mean well. Like, they never listened to him in this version.
Right. Well, and also she says in that episode, she says, Colin, you never talk to me. You never talk about your feelings. And he doesn't talk to her in that episode. But I don't know. Like, was he talking to her and she wasn't listening? Or was she asking him to talk and he didn't feel comfortable because he would talk and he was perceiving the world in this way of, like, as he was discovering racism and he was the only Black kid in a largely white communities, that was something that he was like, it was obviously shaping him and making him less excited, less ambitious. And here's the tricky thing, though. Like, by the way, he's probably right. Like, to say that in terms of he didn't get shots because he was the Black kid and there was a white quarterback, and him talking about the numbers of white quarterbacks, like, it's not unlike a female director or a person of color saying, I don't get hired as a director or to play these roles because nobody sees me that way. It's that unconscious bias thing.
And I totally agree. And I imagine that is how he felt, and that there was a large degree of truth behind it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work as a storytelling. It just doesn't work as a show, because it's just the same moment over and over and over.
I agree. And also tone-wise, it was super weird because I was like, oh, we're in slavery and he's talking about slavery and he's talking about these things that are really interesting and they're kind of hard-hitting and almost like The Big Short. Did you see that movie? Like this kind of camera work and interesting, like talking about social justice issues. And then it would go to like sitcom-y comedy. And then this dramatic moment of him getting, with even dramatic music under it. Like it was three different things happening all at once.
Right. It was like we were at this, in my opinion, really engaging, important TED Talk given by Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
And people kept interrupting with all this other garbage.
Yeah.
I could have listened to him talk. Yeah. I would have watched a one-man performance art piece with him sharing all of these thoughts and facts.
Yeah.
And that would have been engaging. I really like and respect him. But this format does not work.
I agree, because a lot of it is these weird, in a weird way, he's living the life of a privileged white kid.
Right.
On some level. And his thing, like the whole episode being about, I got braids and they hurt my head and then I got new braids. Like, that's a whole episode of his, that's his conflict. And I have to say, like, that doesn't seem like a specific conflict to being a Black kid I don't know, like maybe because it's braids, but.
And then the coaches are like, he looks like a thug with his braids and he looks dirty and he's got to cut his braids. And, and I'm sure that happened. But
there was something about the Wonder Years way they shot it and told it that it was sort of felt like a charming episode of this kid who's really got two loving parents is struggling with being a high schooler. Right?
Yes. So it doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
It really doesn't as an entertainment entity. But I do want to point out that at 9 minutes and 2 seconds, he goes on and on about why he got the braids to be like Allen Iverson. Yeah. So Pete, could you play that 9 minutes, 2 seconds?
They said he looks unprofessional, intimidating, messy. He's clearly unfocused.
What are we talking about?
He's dangerous. He's damaging to the league. He's disrespectful. In 1997, right after taking the league by storm and winning Rookie of the Year,
The crowd is in. It shakes free. Gets two.
a young NBA superstar heard more criticism than kudos.
That's the body language of a thug.
He experienced more political policing than passionate praise. Why? Why did this exceptional player with an uncanny combination of grace and grit cause such ire from the powers that were? Well, what he did to start this controversy was simple, deliberate, and true to himself. He embraced his culture. He braided his hair.
They say that Allen Iverson was considered unprofessional, intimidating, messy, and disrespectful because he embraced his culture. He braided his hair, a simple act of self-expression. That was gut-wrenching to me.
Yeah.
To think that, like, when Allen Iverson, a person I don't really know, but, you know, when he entered the league, he looked more clean cut. And then he decided, no, I want braids. And it changed how he was viewed and how the league saw him and how society saw him.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. It's just so blatantly racist and wrong and appalling.
Yeah. And I wonder, I don't know when that was, but maybe braids are just more common now. Like, it doesn't have that same, does it have that same kind of like, oh, you've got braids? I mean, maybe that's what I didn't understand.
What would we know? I mean, I don't think we can judge that. I mean, we do Elsa braids and we get looks like, oh my God, that is so 2011, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the most I've ever had to deal with is, you know, people don't think I'm smart because I'm beautiful, right? And that's hard.
oh,
Yeah.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't, that is interesting and that is heartbreaking. And I didn't know Allen Iverson. I didn't know his story. Like, I got a lot of really interesting pieces from this.
Right.
And you go, oh yeah, I guess you could see where if they have braids and then somebody thinks they're a thug, like, and they're making this out of nowhere. Like, I got a lot of it. I got the whole, you know, when the cop pulls him over and he's terrified, right? Because why is he suddenly getting pulled over? But I didn't like the way it was.
Episode 2, right?
Yeah. But I didn't like the way, it might have been 3. I didn't like the way it was done. So that's the thing. Like, I got the moment and I felt for him in that moment, but I didn't, it kind of felt so, it was laid out in such a cartoony, broad way.
Yes.
But then again,
like a mustache twirling villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, so my question is, since it was done that way, is it that obvious? Like, remember last week when you were talking about like how rich people aren't that awful? And I'm like, guess what? Right? Like, sometimes they really are. So, I mean, could it have been that outrageous? The woman saying to him, like, you already had your ice cream, and being that blatantly not you, black boy. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, so you're referring to episode 3, where the team, his baseball team, goes to different, like, every weekend they go to a different Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
To have a tournament, and all the players are white and all their families are white except Colin Kaepernick. And all the lobbies of the hotels have like a place where you can grab a free cookie or a free apple when you check in. And everyone glares at him when he tries to get a free ice cream or a free cookie. And I just wrote down, like, black people aren't allowed to have ice cream and cookies in California. Like, what is the rule here? That can't be real. Colin Kaepernick and Ava DuVernay. That can't be real storytelling. It might have happened to him once, and I get that. But like, all of these just Klansmen coming up to him and being like, you put that down, boy. What are you doing here? Like, it's just, it couldn't have happened over and over and over every time he checked into a fucking Holiday Inn. It was so over the top.
I'm really curious. Like, I know you're probably right, but I wonder. I mean, I wonder because sometimes if something is a cultural thing at that time, you know, like, I mean, Taylor Swift is a perfect example of someone who, you know, she's been labeled as crazy and, you know, she's too emotional and like she's slutty and she's, you know, because she can't land a man or whatever, like she's over-sexualized. There's all these things that they say about her, right? What?
No, I love her. To hear anything negative is painful.
But I mean, people sort of have had this like, people don't take her seriously as an artist. And you go, but why? Right? Because she's a girl, because she sings about heartbreak, because like they make her seem girly and insignificant. And that's kind of a social thing, right? Because we're not comfortable. She's so bold and badass in talking about like, older dudes with other relationships. There's been a lot of people who boarded this bus that shouldn't have, you know. I think it's really, I guess what I'm saying is there's a cultural bias. So,
right.
If why wouldn't it happen more than once, right? Why wouldn't it happen all the time? But because it's condensed into this TV show, it feels like really. And the way it's done is so kooky.
Like some bad acting, some bad filming, some bad storytelling. Although I will give props to whoever thought, let's shoot him because he plays baseball and football.
Oh,
but of course, I don't care about baseball. So when he's quarterbacking, they did a few shots from inside his helmet. Yeah. Which were very cool, of him trying to find the receiver and checking out his coverage. I just thought that was a cool way to feel like I was actually a quarterback for 10 seconds.
Yeah. By the way, when I saw that shot, I was like, ooh, quarterbacking is hard. Because
no, it's not that bad.
Because
I'll show you.
Being a novelist and a pop star and a filmmaker, I also think I could be a quarterback. Like I could do anything. But that shot.
As long as we're playing this game, and we'll go back to that shot, I would be a cornerback, not a quarterback, because I like to stir up trouble, and I would be all up in your grill and bat that ball away from you 9 times out of 10.
You kind of do. I feel like this is our relationship, you know?
I've given this a lot of thought, and I would play corner.
Okay, cool.
So, Bill Belichick, if you're listening, that's what I want to do.
Well, maybe you can audition when you go back to Massachusetts for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, I can.
You should reach out. Yeah, you should reach out.
But that shot inside the helmet.
Well, this is the other thing too. Like, even if you don't like the after school special or the hard hitting documentary TED Talk part of it, you might enjoy the football and baseball porn of it. There's a lot of, especially those football shots, man. There's like smoke and it's beautiful lighting and a lot of passing and grunting and faces. And, so if you're a sports fan, it's got a lot of wins, right? There's a lot of good. Are you going to watch the rest of it?
Well, I also want to point out that there's great music. Great music, great hip hop and rap. I really liked the music choices.
I didn't even notice the music. Isn't that funny?
No, it's typical of us that one of us, liked it and one of them didn't. No, I'm not going to watch any more of it. I kept wanting to like it, but I couldn't. But I do have one more. I've a couple more things about the second episode.
Oh, yeah?
Where he no longer... why didn't Colin Kaepernick have braids? At the end of the first episode, it ends with him in present day sitting and staring at the camera and a woman coming out to put him in cornrows.
And
then to prove his point that I can do this, damn it. And it doesn't change who I am. And I want to... And then the second episode starts and he has no braids. And I was like, but you just made a statement that you were going to get braids. So it was just strange.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. I didn't think about it.
Mary Louise Parker, his mom, says she's a terrible cook, which is a gag we've seen way too many times. And they said something like, this is delicious. What is this? And she's like, it just came from the Patty of the Month Club. And I laughed because I would love a Patty of the Month Club.
Well, let's see if we can get that started for you.
Okay. Because I don't like anything on a bone or that looks like an animal. And our dear friend Tommy Metz always says, if it's in patty form, I'll eat it. So
I love that. Yeah, that was a good line.
Yeah, that was cute. Then it's a little strange that he comes home and says, the school, there's racism in school, and they don't call the school to deal with it. They don't, they're like, we'll call the coach and see what we could do about sports, but they don't call the school. He's saying I'm being treated in a racist way. And it made me think well, I don't call the school for our little petty problems when Casey comes home and says, I had a bad day. A kid called me this. I don't call the school.
Right.
But I know some parents do right away. And I was just curious.
Oh.
I know we're not a parenting podcast, but have you ever called the school?
No, but there's never been anything. There was recently a little issue with some fifth graders where one of the fifth grade, they were in a group chat and one of the fifth graders sent out a porn video.
Hello.
Yeah. Abby,
could you see my face or did they at least cut my face off?
I disapprove of you sending it to that kid, but we can talk about that later. I mean,
yeah.
We agreed we're just going to molest in our minds the young kids we see in movies and television.
20 and over. Go ahead.
That's so gross. We have to cut that. That's not real, guys. If you're just tuning in, that's not real. But anyway, Abby, thank God she's not, we haven't gone into the let's all group text. I'm not letting her into that world just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God, because this is exactly why. Because you can't unring that bell, which I think is a name of one of your favorite porns, right? So anyway.
Belle is spelled Belle, and she's the star. Yeah.
In that case, I probably would have written to the principal or called and said, no devices on the bus or at school. And if that's going to happen, what are the consequences? Because that's unacceptable.
Right.
I send my kid to school. I don't send them, I always say, I don't let you surf the web because it's like dropping you off in Times Square and me not being there. And I'm not going to let you just explore the world without me. So anyway, so that's probably
knowing your kids, they would immediately go to the stage door of Lion King and try to meet the cast. Just saying. No, you have nothing to worry about with your girls.
No. But, the world can get to them on the internet. So there's a little bit of that too. So I have never, Delilah gets into these little altercations, but she's 9 times out of 10 the one who's like telling on someone or whining about something. I'm like, babe, you're fine. So I would not. How about you? You're not a caller.
No, I haven't called the school.
But in the show,
I've wanted to a couple of times when Casey's like, this is what happened today at school. I'm like, that's not okay. But I would rather Casey learn how to deal with it, and mom can't always be there. So,
which is kind of what his parents did, which might be the whole theme of them not recognizing the racism. But they called the coach to get him into. Right. They were like, okay, we're not going to complain. We're not going to cry racism. We're going to get a coach and we're going to make you better. So you're undeniable. Right.
Yeah.
And then wasn't he the varsity quarterback? It worked.
Yeah.
You think they should have called?
I do. I think if there's racism in your school, I know some high school principal or some school principals, not high school principals. I know some school principals, they would want to know.
Yeah. Well,
and handle it.
Yes, but I don't think back then that was the case. I mean, because the whole theme of the show, whether this is true or not, would this be a good thing for our research department? Joanne. Tina had to go on maternity leave.
You let go of Tina?
She was having a baby. It's disgusting. So we needed someone who could focus.
3 days for a baby, right? And then she's back.
Yeah.
No paid leave from the Mandcave.
No. I told her, you are not raising this baby under any circumstances. So she'll be back.
Great.
But I think it would be interesting to know. I want Colin Kaepernick to do a TED Talk or write an autobiography or something. So, because I want to know, or I want to talk to his parents, what was the experience? What did they see it? Because maybe they didn't want to believe it. It's not their experience. So they were doing that thing of you're fine.
You're fine, right.
It might have been that they really
rubbed dirt on it.
And it's an entire racist culture. So it's sort of like that's what happens. Them are the breaks. All you do is get better. I don't know. His parents might not have been sensitive to it. I know.
I just wish it were better. This topic and this person deserve a better storytelling device, and this was just not it.
1,000%. And this is the thing I still don't know. Maybe you can help illuminate me and the viewers. What happened? I know he got this show, and I know he kneeled, and he got so much shit for it, which was completely unfounded. What? Inevitably, how did he emerge triumphant? I know
his career ended when he kneeled,
which is unfair
team dropped
and
him,
wrong.
And then nobody else would pick him up. And I think Nike stuck with him, but other sponsors dropped him,
which is horrible.
Horrible. So yeah, it ruined his career. His political activism ruined his career. And all his activism initially was taking a knee to protest racial injustice and police brutality. It was. And a lot of players and coaches stood with him. Yeah. But then it was around the time that, the Donald Cheeto took office. And right. And the noise was too loud from the right.
God.
But he will be triumphant. He's changing the world. He's not going to go away. He's Colin Kaepernick. He's not going to be like, oh, you're right. Sorry. He's too
Is he vocal and he has
passionate.
A whole group and he's doing he's good?
I don't know about what his activism is today. Joanne, could you find that out?
Yeah, Joanne,
I don't know.
Can you get on that?
Yeah. But I will say, before we man job it,
Yeah.
that we watched a couple years ago Kevin Hart's Guide to Black History, which I cannot recommend highly enough.
Oh, nice.
And they used similar, like, we're in the present day and we're going to flash back to something here. It was really good for the family, really funny. Yes, it's Kevin Hart, but it is rated completely PG. There's a lot of humor and a lot of real history and inspiring activist thought.
Oh, cool.
I loved it.
Oh, great.
And I want to watch it again this year for Black History Month, like with Casey. But it really is, it's fantastic. So if anybody wants to skip Colin in black and white, you should, and watch Kevin Hart's Guide to Black History.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Well, how many man jobs?
2.
I'm going to go 3.
Okay.
I'm going to go 3. God, I really wanted it to be different, man.
I know.
I wanted to want it, you know? I didn't have anything clever or witty to say, except that I admire the people who produced this. Good for them. And speaking of producing, how's that for a freaking, I mean, you like that?
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about the people who produce our podcast.
Let's do that. Mandcave is a production of True Story FM, engineered by Pete Wright, music by Ian Post. And if you are on Apple Podcasts listening to us right now, I believe that is the only app that allows you to rate and review. Please, please, please do it, guys. It really helps us get more ears on our show and keep us going.
Yes, please get in there. And speaking of getting in there, if you guys want, you can join us on Discord. Okay, it's this cool app. You just go to mancave.com/Discord, and there's a community channel who's open to everybody. And for the Mandcave members, which you're going to hear about in a minute, aka Mandys, well, they can join us in a super secret members only channel.
How do you become a member? So glad we're pretending you asked. Head to mancave.com/Fandy, Fandy, and support our show and get lots of cool shit like content bonus, access to our members only Discord channel, and a special message from the Mandys on your birthday.
Guys, we are freaks for our Fandys. You can ask for some kooky stuff. We'll give it to you. I'm saying that out loud in public.
Yep.
Speaking of cool stuff, like, there is also merch. I just did a huge holiday buy, which was very exciting. They have t-shirts and hoodies and mugs, and they have like different kinds of t-shirts, like the V-necks and the super soft cotton ones. So it's all kinds of Mandcave swag, hot off the presses. And it's all available at mancave.com/merch. So
shout out to Jillian, one of our listeners, who sent a pic of her in her Mandcave tee.
Yes.
It looked really good. I'm going to be honest. It was hot. So anybody who gets some merch, please send us pictures.
Yes,
and
we
we'll
love
give you a shout out.
Sexy photos from our listeners. Thank you, everybody who makes this magic happen. I love it. I now have a game for you. I think you're going to love this.
Game.
You're going to love this. And really, it's softballs. I feel like I'm just throwing you softballs. I'm in a good mood, I guess, because my birthday's coming up and the holidays. You know, I love it all. All right. You ready for this? Boop, boop, boop,
Always.
boop.
Oh.
Yep.
She's doing some dirty stuff.
I was rubbing myself. Okay.
Tuning in Tokyo.
I have prepared for you my football fan friend.
Yes.
How long have you been watching football?
Since birth.
Right. And who was your person who got you into it? Was it your
My dad.
Oh, your dad. Okay. So you and your dad watch football together. So you've been doing this for a long time. So you're not going to be offended by the questions that I'm asking, because I have a football trivia questions. And I want to see just how much football you've watched and how know-howy you really are. Know-howy, new word, trademark. Thank you very much. Okay. Here is the first question.
I'm scared. Do you see it? This is the face of somebody who like brags about my love of football. And now I'm like, oh boy. Okay.
Can I tell you, like, Patrick came up behind me and was watching me like type up these questions, and he was like, blah, 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 blah. He knew all the answers. Well, not all of them, but
okay. If Patrick knows them. Okay.
I think so. I think you'll be okay. It's not like I dug deep into my superior knowledge of football. So pretty much if it's on the internet, it's here. Okay. Which team lost the Super Bowl 4 consecutive times?
4 consecutive times? Who would have gone there 4 times in a row and lost? Was it the Bills?
It was the Bills. Correct. Oh, look at you. I don't even know how long this
so proud.
The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Did you know that?
I did not know the exact year.
1967. Interesting. Thought it'd been around longer. I don't know. I thought that maybe it was that movie with George Clooney, the one where they play football.
Leatherheads.
Yeah, I thought maybe football had been around. But I guess the football has been, but the Super Bowl hasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's one. This is kind of a tougher question. How many yards is the penalty in the NFL for using a helmet as a weapon?
15.
Wow. That was a guess though, right? That's correct.
No, I mean, penalties are either 5, 10, or 15.
Oh, well, that was an easier.
Half the distance to the goal.
See,
now I'm just showing off.
I gave you a 30% chance of getting that right because I don't know anything about football, but good job. Good job.
More.
And I like that, using a helmet as a weapon. Like, I was like, oh, that happens quite a bit, apparently. All right. Which team won the first Super Bowl ever?
This I don't know. And I should. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Incorrect. The Green Bay
Packers. Oh, that was my other guess.
Wow. Well, that's very good. Yes. They went on to win the Super Bowl 3 more times, actually. So they've won 4 times. Okay, cool.
Not as many as the Patriots. Go on.
I'll give you a second place because I'm nice. Why not? And
thanks.
When I turn over your points to the team, I'll count that one. Okay. Joanne, write down that she got that one right, even though it was her second guess. Okay, which quarterback had 9 starts for the Vikings in 2013?
Brett Favre.
No. His name is
Dante Culpepper.
No. Wow, I love that you even have names. This is amazing.
I don't know.
Truth is, this is a sketchy website, and literally, I think it was called mantelligence.com. So if you don't understand these questions because you're a female, it's okay. Because this is this is Mantelligence.
Mantelligence.
Oh, dang. I see what you did there. His name's Christian Ponder. Is he a real guy?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
He also played for the Denver Broncos, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the San Francisco 49ers. So I smell a biopic because, wow, what's up with Christian Ponder that he couldn't find a home?
Sister Christian Ponder. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a real thing or you just made that up?
One of my fantasy football team's names is Sister Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you.
Very
and I'm
good.
changing, this is an update for everybody. I'm changing my current Fleetwood Mac Jones to Hunter Henry Winkler. That hasn't even happened yet, but I'm doing it. Hunter Henry Winkler.
Oh my God. That is so much funnier if you know those names. That's great. All right. In what year was the first female referee ever featured in an NFL game?
Oh, her name is Sarah Waters, I want to say.
Whoa.
But it was like recent, 2017.
Wow. I can't believe you even know this. 2012.
Oh.
Her name is Sarah Thomas. She was also the first female referee to officiate a bowl game, which I didn't even know she existed.
A blonde ponytail like mine, and I get excited every time she runs out and her ponytail swings, and she's awesome.
Have you been Sarah Thomas for Halloween yet?
That's a good idea.
Thank you. I'm full of them. All right.
Yes.
What are the color of the football goalposts? Oh,
yellow.
Okay, that's right. All right, I thought I stumped you. All right. What interrupted play in Super Bowl? Oh, God, I have to read those letters and make them numbers. Wait, what? You know?
Blackout.
For 34 minutes. Yes, a power outage. This event led to people
the Niners in Baltimore.
Oh, shit.
With Colin Kaepernick playing quarterback for the 49ers.
Are you kidding? You know all this stuff. Oh, my God, yes.
I do.
And they nicknamed it the Blackout Bowl. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Well, you knew all the other shit. That's really impressive. Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Just a few more. Who was the headliner of the very first Super Bowl halftime show?
Oh, my gosh.
You just got to guess.
Tony Bennett.
It's a pretty good guess, actually. You're not going to believe this. It was the Three Stooges.
Oh, I do believe that. That's cute.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know. I thought it was cute. Slapstick comedy. Boy, things have changed. Okay. Last one. Which NFL team's name was inspired by a famous writer?
Oh, my gosh. The Ravens.
Mandy Kaplan.
Edgar Allan Poe?
Dang, girl. Yes. Yeah. It was inspired by the Raven and it was chosen through a fan contest. Well, so I think we should have a fan contest sometime, don't you?
To name something.
Right. Like maybe your next baby. When are you getting on that, by the way?
Oh, okay.
I would really love it.
That's yeah. Okay, not happening.
Okay, maybe our next screenplay then. We'll let fans choose the title of our next screenplay.
That sounds fair.
Sure.
I am pretty excited about what I'm assigning you, and I'm excited that I'm giving you 2 weeks. We will not record a podcast next week. It is Thanksgiving week. We are taking that off to be with our families.
Yep.
And then, so you have 2 weeks to consume an audiobook.
Oh.
A very short one.
Okay.
By our family's favorite comedian, Jim Gaffigan.
I love Jim Gaffigan.
You do? Oh, I was like, I feel like you might hate him. But he wrote an audiobook called Dad is Fat. I invite all the Mandys to listen. And so you're going to listen to Dad is Fat.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
We're going to talk about it in 2 weeks.
Yes, good pick, good pick.
Thank you. I love him.
Way better than my Emmett Smith question. That was a terrible question. All right.
No, that's being cut from the podcast. So now everyone's like, what is she talking about?
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
I love you.
Love you.